This isn't a mega ship. It's not owned by a global brand. And while you can get by speaking English, the vibe feels very Greek. This is a fully Greek cruise line, designed for Greek travelers, sailing through the Greek islands.
And we are very much not Greek.
So, what happens when two non-Greeks board a local cruise line that's maybe a little too Greek? Will we blend in? Will the food be too unfamiliar? And what happens when a cruise is this unapologetically Greek? Let's find out!
We boarded our ship at 9 this morning, and in just a few hours, we're already getting off. It's only 4 p.m. and we already arrived in Mykonos, our first port of call, on embarkation day.
This cruise moves fast. We'll be docking at 7 islands in just 4 nights. Some days we'll even visit 2 islands in 1 day.
It's like the Greek island version of speed dating.
And today we're starting with the most famous one. Let's see what Mykonos is like when you only have a few hours to enjoy it. But before we start rushing through the island and racing the sunset, let's rewind a few hours. We boarded the Celestyal Discovery, one of only 2 ships this Greek cruise line operates, at 9:30 in the morning. It's a mid-sized vessel, just over 1,200 passengers and about 400 crew members. Originally built in 2003 for AIDA cruises, the ship was fully refurbished in 2023 before beginning its new life with Celestyal. Celestyal isn't trying to be flashy. The vibe is low-key, friendly, and unmistakably Greek. So, before we set foot in Mykonos, we had a few hours to explore the ship, settle into our cabin, and start figuring out how Celestyal does things. Let's go back to the beginning and show you what it's like to board a fully Greek cruise when you're not Greek. Our trip begins in the town of Lavrio, about 38 miles from the Greek capital Athens. We were staying in an Airbnb close to the port, so we walked. We got in line for check-in and were through security in about 20 minutes. We had the option to take a bus to the ship, but we decided to walk since it was a short distance.
I am so excited, but also very hungry. We haven't had breakfast yet because check-in was so early, so we're rushing to have our breakfast.
We boarded through deck 3 midship and went straight for our cabin 1 deck above.
Oh my god. Wow.
Way better than I expected.
Yes.
And way better than in the pictures, right? We left our belongings and went right back en route to the breakfast buffet. Sadly, the buffet was closed, so we had to wait until it opened for lunch in a few hours. Restrictive buffet hours was the only thing we didn't enjoy much during this cruise, and would make us sweat bullets later in the trip. We had to put something in our rumbling stomachs, so we bought coffee at Cafe Nation. John had an Americano and I a latte. We had drinks included with meals only, so we had to pay for them. The cups were huge and filled to the brim, which somewhat compensated for the €12 price tag. Next, we returned to our cabin, grabbed our life vests,
No es así, yo creo.
According to the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, this drill is compulsory and all passengers
and went to our muster station for a good old-fashioned in-person muster drill. With that out of the way, our cruise officially begins. And what better way to start off a Greek cruise than by eating gyros? As we sailed away, we discovered the Greek Deli Snack Bar, which opened 30 minutes before the lunch buffet. These gyros, or in their Greek pronunciation gyros, hit the right spot. The view from this eatery was just as good as the food. After eating, we went to eat again. The Taverna restaurant on Deck 9 was now open. The buffet had a lot of variety. We filled our plates with appetizing looking food, except for this stewed okra which is popular in Greece and John loves. If you've ever had okra, you know it's the slimiest food ever, and I've hated it since I was a kid. But giving Greece a chance to turn me into an okra lover, I gave it another shot. It turns out it wasn't so bad, until the sliminess hit and I remembered why I don't like it. The overall taste and quality of the food were excellent. I enjoyed the sweets, especially the tapioca pearls and banana dessert.
It is time for a proper tour of our very interesting stateroom. It looks like it's from the 70s, but it was actually built in 2003 and fully renovated in 2023. Let's begin with the bedroom area. We have two twin beds put together, the linens look clean, and we have the signature European duvet, one for each person. Now, just a second, let's see. That's hard. The bed and night table design is quite unusual. They look more like hotel furniture. This is the sitting area and working station. I love the view from the sofa, although right now the sun is too bright. And this sofa, which is quite comfortable, can be converted into a bed if you have a fight with your partner. It's not a computer monitor, it's actually our TV. Here we have wall art, and over here we have much appreciated shelves. The closet has a lot of storage space. Even though we didn't bring much with us, it's greatly appreciated. My favorite part of the room is the bathroom. It's cool, bold and vintage, and also is super clean. I especially love the floor tiles and the sink.
Now was the time to get comfortable. Turn on our tiny TV and take a restorative nap before we arrived in Mykonos.
To disembark, we needed numbered tickets. We were in Group 3, so we had to wait until our number was called. Since the ship was about half full, we only waited for a few minutes. The reason for disembarking in groups is to better organize passenger busing to the old port. Many buses were coming back and forth, so waiting time was kept to a minimum. If you're enjoying this trip and want to see the parts that never make it into the videos, we share all of that on our Patreon. Behind the scenes photos, quiet moments, little details, and the pictures we actually take just for ourselves while traveling. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description. The bus ride is only a few minutes long. When we arrived at the old port, we were greeted by a line of cats waiting to be petted. Greece, in general, but Mykonos in particular, is heaven for cat lovers. The island has an area of 33 square miles with about 11,000 inhabitants. During peak months, Mykonos sees massive summer crowds, with daily visitor numbers ranging from 50,000 to 80,000. Today, however, it feels like we're the only ones here. On the bright side, you can explore at your leisure without overwhelming crowds. On the downside, almost every business has closed down for the season. The place is beautiful though, and just wandering its streets is magical enough. we found an open bakery where we stopped for café con leche, a croissant, and the most delicious baklava we've ever had. We kept walking around after the sun set, admiring the island's unique architecture, and you can see just how empty the streets are. When the night began to cool, even John was getting cold, so we made our way back to the bus stop, bid Mykonos goodbye, and returned to the ship.
Once on board, we went straight to the main dining room, Thalassa Restaurant, on deck 8. This is the first time we'd gone to dinner on a cruise without showering first. We attribute this to 3 things. 1. It's late November, so even though it's been an active day, we haven't sweated at all today. 2. Celestial doesn't have a set dining time, so you can just go to the dining room when you feel like it. And 3. There's something about the crowd's vibe on the ship that we didn't feel any pressure to dress up. Our dinner tonight consisted of beef chimichangas and bakwan sayur vegetable fritters as starters. For mains, we both ordered the braised lamb with citrus. The lamb was so tender, it could have been the subject of an Elvis Presley song. For dessert, I had the New York style cheesecake and Ari had the rum baba soaked in dark rum syrup. Again, the food surprised us in the best way possible. After dinner, we went for coffee at the taberna and paired it with a power nap while we waited for the night show. Tonight's show was circus theme in the theater on deck 9. To be honest, our plan was to watch the first part of the show and then retire for the night, but the Cuban performers put on a fun show and we stayed for the whole thing. After the show, and as I think you would agree, quite an intense first day, we called it a night.
A breakfast buffet is one of my greatest pleasures in life, and this one did not disappoint.
Good morning from Kusadasi. Our breakfast was delicious, especially the eggs with spinach and the pastries. Kusadasi is our first port and it's a city full of history. We couldn't be more excited. We're getting off the ship now. Thank you.
As there are stray cats in Greece, there are stray dogs in Turkey. And of course, I had to share the love. Kusadasi is the only non-Greek port we'll visit during this trip, so we wanted to make the most of it. We like walking in the cities we visit, but with a noon all-aboard time, no knowledge of Turkish, and no data, we accepted a taxi driver's offer to take us to the main attractions for 20 euros each. All those years of our mothers teaching us not to get into a stranger's car were apparently for nothing. Our first stop was the memorial and statue of Mohammed Kemal Atatürk on a hill overlooking the Aegean coast. The view from up here is breathtaking, and it is where we learned that Kusadasi comes from the words Kush, which means bird, and Ada, which means island. Next, we were supposed to go to Ephesus, one of the largest Roman archaeological sites in the Eastern Mediterranean. However, somewhere along the way, while conversing with our taxi driver, the subject of Aladdin came up. We mentioned that we had seen the musical on Broadway, which caused him to add a new stop to our itinerary. As soon as we stepped out of that car, I knew we had fallen for it. Somehow, our mention of having seen the Aladdin musical morphed into us being the producers of an Aladdin musical in New York. So now, we found ourselves in a rock factory where the owners thought we were some big-time Broadway producers looking to buy rocks for our musical. They showed us around their beautiful property and demonstrated how silk is harvested from silkworm cocoons, which is a fascinating process. As beautiful as everything was, the whole time we were smashing our brains out trying to figure out how we would get out of this situation. When they took us to a private showing room and brought us coffee, I knew I had to do something quick. A very awkward conversation later, we were back in our taxi on our way to Ephesus, or so we thought. After making it crystal clear to Jeff, our driver, that we had limited time and could only go to the agreed upon places, he naturally took us to a leather clothing store. After these two important stops, we quickly got the beautiful statue of the Virgin Mary and the impressive Ephesus out of the way. Jeff then tried to take us to a jewelry store and an organic market, but after a stern exchange, he agreed to take us directly back to the port. Before returning to the ship, we tried Turkish coffee by a gorgeous beach while reflecting on our interesting experience, for lack of a better word. Back on board, we squeezed in a quick gym session. The gym is small, but it has everything you need for a travel routine. The AC was strong, and we didn't sweat, so we headed to the lunch buffet right after. Although John did change clothes because sleeveless shirts are not allowed inside the restaurant. We tried a couple of new dishes and ingredients, like bulgur, Greek pumpkin pie, and this rice I don't recall the name of. As we ate, we were already sailing away from Kusadasi and on to our next destination. We quickly made our way to the bow because in just a few moments we would sail through the narrowest point between Turkey and Greece, and we didn't want to miss it. At its narrowest point, the distance between the island of Samos in Greece and Anatolia, Turkey is just under a mile. Oh, and while we were here, we discovered the most VIP of VIP hot tubs on the ship. Too bad it was for crew members only. Before arriving at our next port, we had time for a quick nap.
We have arrived at our second port of the day, Patmos. Mykonos and Kusadasi were quite chilly, so this time I am better prepared so I don't get cold. This is a tender port, so we need to take a boat to get to the shore. Let's go.
Patmos was a tender port. The tendering process was super smooth, which we really like about Celestial. We arrived 1 hour early, so we had more time to explore the island. Patmos is about a third the size of Mykonos, with only around 2,500 inhabitants, about half of whom seem to be cats. As the day before, we had the island all to ourselves, which made walking its quaint streets a surreal experience. When you visit, whatever you do, do not, I repeat, do not play with the church bells. We loved everything about the island: stone streets, its architecture, this small church, the beach, even dried up flowers hanging on an old door looked beautiful. However, as in Mykonos, at this time of year, you trade the crowd for almost everything closed. We had a hard time finding a local coffee shop that was open, but we finally did. We enjoyed lattes, dulce de leche ice cream, and this tasty chocolate-filled pastry whose name escapes me. With not much else to do, we returned to the ship after a while.
We arrived just in time for a trivia game about to start in the casino lounge. Well, about to start might be an overstatement since we were the only players. The theme was geography, and the questions were on the hard side, but 50% of correct answers was enough for me to finally beat John on a cruise game. We then had a quick dinner at the buffet. The sweets were incredible, and part of the reason I returned home with 7 extra pounds. After dinner, we went to the theater for the night show. The theater is on decks 8 and 9 and is on the small side, but adequate for the ship's size. It is pretty, especially the Greek sun design on the ceiling. Tonight's show was Greek treasures of music and dance. For us, it was another hit, especially the singers and the musical number based on the painter El Greco, which was visually stunning. The final clown dance number, although creepy, was the perfect prelude for a dream-filled night. Rhodes is our only port of call today, so we were able to sleep in. We skipped breakfast this morning. The plan is to find a local coffee shop somewhere on the island. As soon as we exited the port, we knew we were going to love Rhodes. Rhodes is the 4th largest Greek island, and its fortified medieval old town, which we are walking through now, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So many small streets with infinite gorgeous nooks and crannies, and of course, kitties. Since it was still somewhat early, not many places were open yet, so we made our way outside the city walls into the new town in search of breakfast. We found a lively coffee shop with plenty of foot traffic from locals, a telltale sign of a good place. Here, we tasted local pastries, coffee, and hot chocolate before moving on with the rest of our day in Greece.
We asked for recommendations of which sweets to try while in Greece, and Evan suggested the Melo Macarona, which I'm probably pronouncing it wrong.
I think you're right. Sounds about right.
But let's try it. Let's see. This is how it looks.
It smells amazing. I think it might be dusty inside. That's my prediction.
Oh my god. It's so good. What is it's made of what?
Date? I don't know.
It's sweet. I think it has coconut. It is so
good.
Thank you, Evan. Wow.
If you like chewy cookies, this is for you. We promise you that was not acting. They were actually really good. You know, we were kind of worried about the 2 ports in one day situation maybe being too tiring or too much. And yesterday, for instance, we visited Turkey and then on a Greek island. If it were not for the nap, it would have been tiring.
Yeah, it has been intense.
But at the same time, on the pro column would be you get off the ship, explore for a little bit, for a few hours, then you get back on and you can get off again in the afternoon and be in another place and you start over. We have that variety in the trip.
It really helps that the getting off the ship and getting on board has been so smooth. Their operation is great. And
even in tender ports,
yes,
it's been a breeze.
It's been a breeze, and I mean, life is good. We're visiting 2 ports in one day.
But today and tomorrow, it's only 1 port, so that does give you a little extra time to spend in a place. So far, we're loving this one. Yeah. We're heading to Acropolis. It seems amazing in the pictures. Let's see what it looks like in real life.
The Acropolis of Rhodes archaeological site is an open park home to several significant structures dating back to the Hellenistic period of the 3rd to 2nd century BC, offering a glimpse into the history and culture of ancient Greece. Our favorite part were the stadium, where various sporting events and competitions took place, and the Odeon, a theater-like structure that was used for musical and theatrical performances. Today, it showcases Ari's talents in charades. Try to figure out which movie he is acting out. On our way out, Ari pet some more cats and tasted an olive, which he didn't know tastes intensely bitter straight from the tree.
Blah. On the way back to the ship, we went through the old town and came across a cute fountain. I was casually playing with the water when I noticed this. When we boarded the ship, we split for lunch. John went to deck 10 to eat gyros at the Greek deli, while I went to the buffet one deck below. I know John eats fast, but even I was surprised when just a few bites into my plate, he came back having already finished eating. From my lunch, I want to shout out this mouth-watering orange pie. Since John lost at trivia last night, he wanted to play Scrabble since he has beaten me in the past and he wants revenge. So let's play.
So far, this cruise has been a lot less Greek than we expected. It definitely has a Greek personality. It's not made for the masses, and we love that.
And if it feels like things are moving fast, it's because they are. We've already visited 4 ports, but my brain still thinks we're still on embarkation day. But it's been super worth it. Every stop is different and every port has its own personality.
And Celestial, they don't give you time to overthink anything. Just go, experience, and repeat. Let's keep going and see what else this Greek cruise throws at us.
But first, let's see who wins. Even though I got a crappy first draw and the game was tight, I defeated Johnson a second time. The rest of the day went by fast. We danced in the sail away party, or at least our version of dancing. Had dinner in the main dining room with the food delicious again, and capped the night in the after disco bar with a karaoke session with just the 2 of us. Tomorrow would be one of our favorite days of this cruise. We knew the day would be special since we sat down for breakfast and this was our view. Santorini was devastated by a volcanic eruption in the 16th century BC, forever shaping its rugged landscape. Trying to hide in the back of our minds the fact that we were actually in the caldera of said volcano, we made our way to the old port on board the tenderboat. We were trying to decide whether to take the cable car or walk the 588 steps to the top. In the end, we decided to ride the cable car up and take the stairs down.
We made it alive.
Santorini's architecture and colors were similar to those in Mykonos and Patmos, but the views were unbeatable. At times, we felt like we were looking at a painting. We walked, and walked, tasted some local sweets from the oldest pastry shop on the island, and then walked some more. The island was livelier than Patmos and Mykonos this time of year. Still, not many places were open, so we decided to return to the ship for lunch. We had to hurry though. It's 1:15 now, the buffet closes at 2:30 and tenderboats run every half an hour. We did the math, and the tenderboat you see returning from the ship now is our last chance to get back on board before the restaurant closes until dinner. We began descending the 588 steps to the port. The angle and length of each step combined with the need to do it quickly, made it more challenging than we thought. But hey, at least we were not going up like this poor soul. My knees were killing me, and I almost gave up on the idea that we would make it in time. Then, I saw John teasing me, and I had to do something about it. We made it just in time, and we were the last to board the boat back. We were tired and sweaty, but the Thanksgiving themed buffet was well worth it. We spent the rest of the afternoon between the hot tub and the cold pool with VIP views of Santorini and picture-perfect sunset. We still had one more thing to do: taste Celestyal's award-winning drinks. That night, we ordered 2 drinks from their specialty menu and were blown away by how pretty they were. This was the perfect way to end a surprisingly special cruise.
Thank you so much for coming along on this cruise adventure. Join us on this video next, where we sail on what many call the most beautiful crossroads, the Norwegian fjords. Until the next sail away.